A story about Ash.
Ash was a normal girl living a normal life in Pennsylvania, one of the most normal states. At the time of this story, Ash was on the cusp of her 18th year and was thoroughly dissatisfied with the way her life had been going. She often felt alone in a crowded room, had few passing acquaintances, and always had a frowned-upon fixation on death. Now others may say this is because she was a human girl living with the head of a raven, but for her it was a much different story. Her body was not the body she wanted, but she lived with it, as most of us learn to do. Ash's issue lied in the fact that she saw no meaning in life. Where others saw light and love, she just saw another day to suffer through. It was a gray day in May, no rhyme intended, when Ash stopped trying not to kill herself. This decision was not made lightly, but then again, these types of choices never really are. It was fall before she could even work up the courage to begin this beginning that was sure to end in an end. On a cold autumn day, Ash lied sprawled in the middle of the road. Though in theory this was a solid choice in taking one's life, that day's lack of traffic tested her patience and drove her, conveniently, to a ledge that showed no help as she did retain some instinctual hint of flight from her aviary peculiarity. Setting herself aflame was promising, but it was a warm day and lighters hurt her hands. Ash soon found herself in a local food shop downing a Clorox cocktail, an action made quite impossible by her large beak and short, impish arms. She had reached her wit's end. Killing herself, she thought, was
much harder than I could ever imagine. I knew my way out was Mickey. Mick was a sweet little Irish guy with a galaxy of freckles whom happened to be the known town drug dealer. Of course he was frowned upon, but every town needs these things, and every person in town knew his number. I called him from the last payphone in what I could imagine is a considerable radius. Hey, Mick.
Yeah?
I need something.
Something.
Yeah, something strong.
Okay, well, where are you? Do you have cash?
At the payphone, and I have enough. Just look for the orange hubcaps.
Yeah, I know. I'll be there soon.
Soon after this call, Ash found herself at a park, a place she often wound up when she lied to her parents, saying she was with friends. She spent an awfully long time walking around and thinking, not thinking about life or the choices she had, but more about how much she had been waiting for this and hoping that it would help. The dingy and dark park restroom reflected many park restrooms across the country, covered in an impermeable musk of years of systematic abuse. For this, Ash felt right at home. Her fingers slowly closed around the bottle of bad things Mickey had so kindly sold her. She looked up for a mirror, but its absence was for the best. Seeing herself would not help things anyway, as seeing yourself in most situations is very little help at all. She whispered,
Goodbye.
And forced every pill into her beak. She fell dizzy and fell down very quickly, and it all went black.
Ash had fallen deep into the rabbit hole and was sure this was eternity. She existed in complete lack of existence for some time. The world was a blur, and her loneliness began to lift, despite the fact that she existed on her own exclusive plane. This trip of trips was coming down hard, and she landed in the grass.
A soft thud. Ash found herself very alive and well in a graveyard just miles from her home. A graveyard she had spent nearly her whole life willfully ignoring. Sitting up, she noticed the stone closest to her bearing the name Calabrese? No, Calabrese. Cala something, and she felt strange, different, indifferent, lighter, hungover, and unlikely of all, content. The wind blew lightly through her feathers. The grass pushed gently up on her Doc Martens. She had survived an action designed specifically to be unsurvivable, and was happy. Okay, a little mad that Mickey had given her an unlabeled psychedelic. But in this suicide attempt, Ash found peace. She found happiness. She learned that life is not always good or worth living, but that does not mean you should stop living it.
I still go back to that grave sometimes and read to the old couple several feet beneath, because I know I would want that if it were me down there. I was still far from okay, but I knew things would and could at least get a little better. And after all this, I even found a friend.